I just don't think I could have been anything else other than an artist. It makes me deeply unhappy if I'm not creating. So creating art is one way for me to transform the unexplainable, things that you just can't really describe, things that you can't really change. My name is Abi Joy Samuel. I'm what you call a figurative expressionist fine artist based in London. I predominantly work on canvas with charcoal and pastel as my chosen medium, so it's a very drawing-based style. I'm very interested in quantum physics and this idea of the past, present and future existing at the same time. So what I'm doing is looking at the human form from multiple different angles, evoking feelings from my past, evoking feelings from the future, evoking feelings from the present moment, and sort of entwining those into one space. I'm not one for sitting still for too long, I'd say. So in the evenings I'll sometimes walk, go to the theatre, listen to music, whatever it is that's gonna feed the bank of inspiration, basically. The way I know I'm inspired is because I put my attention on it. I become curious. And that could be from something that's been left behind on a street to something that someone said in a conversation or a film that I've watched. I go through a process of transcription, which is taking those ideas and transforming them into something else. I allow a sort of visual story to appear on my wall, and I play around with those images. And once I feel that there's something solid enough, I then record a video of me modelling, purely out of practicality, and I will sort of just be slowly moving around, and then I work from those videos. It touches upon this deep-rooted notion that nothing really stays the same forever. So it satisfies a very deep spiritual yearning in my psyche. I was always scared to model, but I decided to give it a go, and it creates this incredible relationship with your body, especially as a woman. And in that moment, you become an art form for people. It's a very opposite feeling to being objectified, actually. Highly recommend it to anyone who's got body issues to try modeling. There's this notion, a social notion, that being Jewish comes before any other form of identity. So it comes before being a woman, it comes before being an artist. When you're Jewish, it's like, you know, even if you're not religious, you're kind of bound to this very strong, deep-rooted culture. Although we have a strong identity, there's almost a feeling of being identityless. So there is a feeling of not being seen a lot of the time, but knowing that you know that you are different. This piece is called A Land I Called My Home. In the painting, I'm referring to Israel, not because I see it as my home, but almost what I've been told about Israel as a Jewish person, being a safe place, but also not knowing how to feel about that anymore. Looking at that, and also my early experiences of life and being in foster care, being looked after by multiple people, my parents getting divorced, and having multiple home life experiences, and how that's affected my deep-rooted feeling of displacement. I think, to be honest with you, I think those experiences, they make you who you are. You know, if anything, I'm grateful that, you know, my early years were challenging, because I think it gave me a very unique perspective, and it gave me a sort of a need to express myself. So I think not quite knowing where you belong means you have to find other devices to do that, and art has been my device. I think everyone is born creative. I think it's just something that gets stomped out of you. I grew up with a lot of movies, not necessarily art, but lots of movies. And my dad would paint with me sometimes. And he played this series called Mistral's Daughter, and it's about a up-and-coming Parisian artist who's struggling. It was the way he experienced the creativity that I was so drawn to, like being so connected to something else, something so otherworldly, was just fascinating. I was totally drawn to that, and I knew that I had to find that feeling, basically. I put in a proposal for this residency and I produced a body of work in response to the poem The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. So it's made up of multiple paragraphs, and each paragraph he randomly switches character, era, country. He brings in random lines of different languages from different cultures. This really was probably the most direct response to The Wasteland out of all the works I've done. It's a figure essentially lying down. And I wanted to really emphasize the feet, and I wanted to make them look almost like roots coming from the earth, which is directly inspired by the first few lines of The Wasteland where they're talking about dull roots and spring rain. There's a surrealist quality to his work that I've tried to integrate into my own new body of paintings. We tend to think that art is for a specific group of people, and I think that art is an expression, and your views and your experience of art is never going to be wrong. You know, like when you go clubbing and you're dancing, you don't tell the person next to you that they're dancing wrong. But if you're struggling to maybe connect with a piece of work, what I would say is just stand in front of it for an extended period of time, because sometimes it's hard to understand what's happening in a piece of art because we haven't given ourselves the time to really engage with it. And sometimes it's just shit, and that's why you just start getting, or sometimes it's just not for you, you know? So, sorry, I shouldn't say shit, but